Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lucy and I'm so thrilled to be joined by Lisa Williamson today.
Hello!
Lisa is the author of The Art of Being Normal and the newly released All About Mia. I was like, where is it?
It's here!
Lisa, do you want to kind of explain what All About Mia is about?
Yes, so it is about a middle child, a girl called Mia, as in All About Mia, and she's sandwiched between like super high achieving sisters. So I kind of thought, how can I make this as bad as I possibly can?
Yeah, exactly.
So her older sister Grace, who's 19, is like really clever. Like she got the record exam results at school and everyone thinks she's perfect, and now she's off on this gap year. She's going to Cambridge to study classics and she's just got it
figured
sorted.
out.
Yeah, Grace has it figured out, she has a plan. And then Audrey is the younger sister, she's 13 and she's an amazing swimmer, like probably going to the Olympics like in 2020, she's that good.
She's that level.
And then Mia's in the middle and she doesn't have a thing, she doesn't know what she wants to do, and she's the sort of girl who tends to make a few mistakes and often get caught. And she, I think, feels very much overshadowed by her sisters, but at the same time that causes her to kind of act out, so she doesn't necessarily help her situation through her behaviour.
Exactly. I just thought Mia was very like fiery and just the perfect character. So what kind of inspired you to write about sisters in particular?
Well, I have a sister, only one. It would be really good if I was the middle child. I thought, could I just invent some fictional other sister? So I have a sister, and I've always loved books about siblings.
Yeah, I do too.
Like Little Women, Pride and Prejudice, I Captured the Castle, Ballet Shoes, just loads of books that I grew up with that are about sisters, and I love the dynamics between siblings and the way often you can treat your siblings quite badly. I think this is this idea of like unconditional love that means
you kind of take for granted a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, you can be your worst. I think you can be your best and worst self with your siblings in a way that I don't think you sometimes are with your friends, and that always interests me.
I felt that the book really captured quite well the sense of kind of one-upmanship in a way, like that can happen in sets of siblings, because I know like I've got two brothers, and when I was growing up constantly we were like always trying to like not intentionally one-up each other, but it was kind of like that feeling of
not always, I don't think you always realise you're doing it.
Exactly, it's quite a natural thing.
It's like a subtle thing, because I think that Grace, for example, the older sister, does not realise when she is kind of when she's behaving badly, when she's doing little things to undermine Mia, and I don't think she realises that, because I think she kind of believes her own hype that she is the perfect, saintly older sister. And sometimes she does things and you're just like, oh, Grace, that was a low blow. But she kind of gets away with it because she's got this perfect reputation.
Yeah, and The Art of Being Normal was your debut novel, and that kind of completely blew up in the sense that it won a lot of awards and it was generally very well received. What was it like kind of writing this next novel? Did you kind of feel the burden of having your debut novel being so well celebrated?
I
was just about to, I was like, I hope she like has thought about this, and I have just been so, you put a lot of pressure there.
No, I really did. Because The Art of Being Normal, I had quite a short lead time between getting a deal and it being published, only 8 months. So it meant that I was writing the second book already, which was quite sort of a stressful thing, and being aware, and on one hand it was amazing that The Art of Being Normal was doing so well, I was so excited, but at the same time it meant that every time I sat down to write I was thinking, oh, if people enjoy The Art of Being Normal, will they enjoy this? And should I be writing this or that? And I kept thinking I've got to write something important, because lots of people would say, oh, The Art of Being Normal is a really important book. And for a while I've tried out lots of other ideas, because I was just kept getting bogged down with this idea I must write another important book. And in the end I think I've written a book that I think it is important, but not in the same way. It's not about a big issue. It's just about relationships and sibling dynamics and making mistakes. But again, it's about identity. It's about finding out who you are.
Exactly, and I feel like there are still a lot of important issues in Mia. Not necessarily in the same way. But there are certain, lots of important topics covered. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like Art of Being Normal was almost led by that issue. And it was such a brilliant, important book, but Mia's slightly different, but in a good way.
And I think it took a while for me to make peace with like, oh, this is going to be my second book then. And it is different, and I really like that it's different, but for a while I was worried. I was thinking that I had to basically write The Art of Being Normal part 2, not as in a sequel, but as in a book that hit all the same emotional beats, and then in the end I'm really glad that I haven't.
What is your writing process like? And did it differ between Art of Being Normal and All About Mia?
I think from writing 2 books now, and now on working my 3rd, I'm realising what my process is, and that I can't really break away from it. So I'm not a planner. I start with a character normally, and then maybe a premise, and that's it. And sometimes I have an idea of how I want it to end, maybe not as in the sequence of events, but sort of the feel I want it to have. And then I have to do the middle.
Oh, that's interesting. I prefer it like that way, because I do a little bit of writing as well. And all these authors who are like, oh yes, I've had it mapped out in my head for like years. And it's like, how?
No, and people who have Excel spreadsheets and stuff. And I think it looks amazing, and I wish I could do that, but I
So do you kind of have points that you're aiming to get to, or is it just kind of you let it lead you?
It's a real mixture. So sometimes I have scenes in mind that I would like to happen, but then that doesn't always stay. So sometimes I think. So for example, Mia started out, and this isn't a spoiler, it started out as like a doomed love story. I wanted to be unrequited love. I wanted her to fall for Grace's boyfriend. And
I was wondering if that would, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I was wondering if that would happen.
With a little glimmers
I was falling for Grace's boyfriend.
I mean, he's lovely. But every time I tried to make Mia fall for him, she was just like, stop it, no, ew, gross,
I love that,
it's not going to happen.
You can imagine Mia saying that.
And then I just thought, I need to listen to her, and then I realised this is not a love story, but it is. But it's a love story between sisters and friends. And then I was like, okay, this is what it is. But I realised I think it takes me a while to figure out what the story is about sometimes, and that means a plan just isn't going to work. Because I'm not going to stick to it.
So let's say you're meeting yourself that was writing The Art of Being Normal. What advice would you give, you know, that writer who is first setting off on her publication journey? What piece of advice would you give?
Oh God, I don't know.
It's quite a difficult one.
To keep going, obviously, because I did a school visit today, and I told the kids there, oh, it took me 2 years to write The Art of Being Normal, and one of the questions was, how did you keep going? Like, how did you have the patience to just keep going? And I never really thought about not. I just knew I really wanted to tell the story. So I almost don't want to tell my past self anything that would stop me from doing anything different in a way. But then I do realise there were points at which I thought, I can't do this, I'm rubbish, I'm never finished this book, because I was struggling in the middle. I just had no idea what to do. And I remember feeling really frustrated and just thinking, I can't do this. And so part of me would just like to give, past a bit more confidence.
You can do this.
You can do this. You have to keep going. But I got there in the end. With Mia, there is no issue. So it's just a book about a teenage girl. But I always feel that Mia is the sort of girl who doesn't often get to be in books because she's often the sort of loud, confident side character.
Actually. Yeah, you're right. She's usually the kind of like loudmouth best friend.
Yeah, or you would maybe just see her bitchy side. I think that's her, and I wanted to kind of put her at the centre and find out, what's going on underneath. Why does she behave that way?
That's actually really interesting, because I do definitely agree with that. That often we read about protagonists who might be flawed, but they kind of change, or they have character growth, which Mia does, but she's unapologetically herself.
Yes.
And that's what I love about her.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting take on it.
Yeah, I didn't want her to sort of, because no spoiler, she quite likes to drink, and she
I love those aspects though. The kind of it does approach like sex and drinking, all the things teenagers experience. And it's just done in such a brilliant way.
I didn't want to, at the end of the book, to be like, oh, and now I'm not going to.
And now I've learned my lesson.
So I'm going to go off to the nunnery.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be that I've learned some lessons, but basically I am the same girl. I will continue to make some mistakes, but I have grown and I have learned something about myself, and I have moved forward. But it's not all tied up in a neat bow.
And I guess the journey is that she realises that her family do value her, that she does have her thing.
Yes.
And I think that's like the greatest journey in the book, I would say.
Yeah, because I think she's so bogged down with thinking a thing has to be something that is measured in awards or certificates or exam grades, and then realising that maybe her thing isn't like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that's a bit more difficult to put your finger on, but is no less valuable. So I think that's kind of what she learns.
So what are you working on now?
I'm working on another novel. It's another YA novel. It's about a girl whose name is Ro, and she is 15, and it's about a relationship with her mother, which is very difficult for reasons that I'm not going to go into now, but you find out basically by the end of the first chapter. You're just like, oh, that's why what's going on. And it's kind of about Ro also almost has this double life. So she has a life at home with her mum and this life at school where she's pretending all the time so people aren't suspicious about what she's hiding. And it's what happens when certain people enter her life that kind of threaten sort of this wall she's built up, and how
that sounds amazing.
So I'm working on that at the moment.
Great.
I made it sound really cryptic.
Yeah, now I'm like, I want to read this. Like, what happens at the end of that chapter? Oh, well, thank you so much for being on my channel, Lisa. It's been brilliant. And please do go check out The Art of Being Normal if you haven't read it already, or the brilliant All About Mia, which is out now. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!
Bye!